Hello, thank you so much for dropping by this video. This is going to be a discussion on how to have a um, spiritual life, and actually how a spiritual life is actually just a natural life, a natural way of living. So a very warm welcome to everyone joining in. This is going to be part 2 in a series on this, and if you haven't seen part 1, or if you're not familiar with this channel or the topics, I would invite you to back up and check out part 1, and there will be a link. There'll be a link in the description below. So, most people, and I used to be guilty of this, and to some extent still am a little bit, we like to divide things that aren't always so easily divisible. And a really popular way people have of doing that is dividing that which is spiritual with everything else. And I want to put forth the idea for your consideration that actually that which we call spiritual and that which we call natural are actually one and the same thing. And that having a spiritual life is nothing more than doing and being and living in a way that is natural. We have this idea of, or many people do, and I used to, this idea that that which is spiritual is actually somehow overcoming what is natural. But what I would propose is that actually being spiritual is just overcoming that which is unnatural. And we're going to look a little bit at the meaning of the word nature, but that which is truly natural is just the way, I hate to use the same word again, but just the natural, harmonious way things are. And that's the goal of a spiritual life, to live harmoniously with reality, with ourselves, with other people, with creation, and ultimately with our understanding of a higher power. So we're just starting today by reflecting on what is it? What is natural and what is spiritual, and how are the two related? So again, I'm assuming that anyone who's watching this video has checked out earlier videos and knows this very simple practice of absorbing, taking in healing life energy. It's very easy to do. Please sit with your legs uncrossed, feet flat on the floor, hands on your legs, palms facing upwards. Back in an upright, relaxed position, and close your eyes. Handing over all problems, worries, fears, and having the will, the intention to take in natural life energy that can actually heal. Having that intention and observing your body while having that intention to take this energy in and to receive it. We'll spend a little time in silence doing that now. Noticing what you feel. Having the intention to take this energy in. having the will to receive, and then receiving this natural life energy. Continuing to observe the body. So I'm going to talk a little, and I invite people to continue to do this practice of observing their body, taking this energy in. So, my definition of what's natural is that which is harmonious with life. We think of things like natural food or natural living, and I basically said that this talk today is going to be about a natural way of life. Well, what I mean by the word natural in that sense is literally just that which is harmonious, that which is healthy, that which is in harmony with life itself. Now, it doesn't take too sharp of a mind to realize that us as individuals and us as a human race aren't really living in a natural way. In fact, we're living in a quite artificial way. As I look about the room I'm in, most everything in this room is artificial, meaning it's not just a pure product of nature. It's something that was people took nature and did something, manipulated it to turn it into something else. All the objects in this room. I'm lucky I can look out the window and see a tree, but other than that, I'm completely surrounded by an artificial environment. Now the thing is it's not just about our environment. A huge part of a natural, i.e., spiritual way of life is about overcoming all the habits we have that are unnatural. And again, by unnatural, what I mean is contrary to life, contrary to uh, what leads to a healthy, happy, and harmonious life. Now, the thing is with habit is they can become a force. They can become a force that can be very hard to shift. And And a lot of these habits are even things that we do unconsciously. They're just things that we've taken as the way, like, well, oh, this is how life is. This is how life is supposed to be. So part of this whole path of returning back to nature or creating a spiritual life is really reflecting on how we're living, reflecting on what we're doing, and ultimately coming to reflect on each action and each thought and each thing. But we can start in a bigger, we can start from a larger perspective and just really look at it is how I'm living, is the way I'm living, is it healthy? Said another way, is it natural? Said another way, is it spiritual? So let's spend a little time and reflect on that, continuing to take in this beautiful life energy, noticing what we're feeling. And again, please continue to take in this natural life energy as I share a little more. So, so we've hopefully reflected a little, like, is the way I'm living natural, healthy, harmonious? And if we come to the answer no, and it's not completely an either or, it's not like, um, I don't know of any person who all day long only does good or all day long only does things that are harmful. And in reflecting, each one of us can probably notice, oh, there's some places where I really need to change. I really want to change to live a more natural, harmonious life. And so I want to put forth a very radical idea about what life is about. That this experience we're having of life here on this earth is actually a school to learn this. That's literally why we're here. We're literally here to learn how to live and have a harmonious, a natural, a spiritual, a healthy life. And that the absolute key lesson in all of this is actually to learn to distinguish between what's natural and what isn't, between what's good, meaning that which, not necessarily good from the normal definition of the word, but that which is healthy and helpful versus that which is evil, what is harmful and destructive. And for us to learn that and then to choose the good over and over and over, day by day, moment by moment, And that's literally why we're here. That right here, right now, in this earth, we are in a school and we are learning what's the difference. What's the difference between what's healthy and not healthy, and learning how to choose that which is healthy. So let's spend a little time reflecting on that. Is it possible that that's really the purpose of life here? That it's a school, and that what I've just shared is really the primary lesson. Continuing to notice what you feel, taking in this energy. So that leads us to the question, well, what really is good and what really is evil from a spiritual perspective, or again, from a natural perspective? So, my understanding of good is that which is healthy, that which is natural, that which enriches the quality of the life of our life. On a, you could say that which feels good, but we have to, be careful there, because things can feel good in the short term and actually not be natural, healthy, or helpful. So contrast that with evil, that which is unnatural, that which is harmful to life. And, as human beings, we tend to like to label, oh, well, those things are good and those things are evil. But I'm talking on a slightly deeper level. I'm talking about good and evil as literally two forces, two, um, you could say, powers or forces that have deep influence over us, that day by day, moment by moment, we're really connecting to one or two of these forces. A force that leads us in the right direction, or a force that leads us in another, in the wrong direction. And so, not just as a force, here's where things get really interesting, but as a sender of thoughts. That one of the primary ways that we are influenced as human beings has to do with thoughts. And that thoughts actually can, in essence, be categorized into one of two categories: thoughts that are natural, helpful, healthy, and good, thoughts that are unnatural, unhappy. Unhappy, unnatural, unhealthy, harmful, and evil. And that learning to choose between these two energies and these two thoughts is really the essence of what distinguishes from a good life, a healthy and a happy life, and an unhealthy life. So let's spend a little time reflecting on that, continuing to take in this energy, noticing what you feel, having the will to take in this good energy. Noticing what you feel, continuing to take this energy in. And so, why are thoughts so important? Well, if you've observed yourself, what you might notice about yourself is that all day long we're doing things. Sure, take moments of rest, maybe a moment of meditation, hopefully longer than a moment, but all day long we're doing things. But the question is, why are we doing things? Or more importantly, what compels us to act? Well, a very profound insight that many wise people and even modern psychologists have put forth is that we're primarily driven to action based on our thoughts. Now, this is a radical way of thinking. Um, most people think, oh, I just choose to do something. Well, there is some truth to that. And if you observe yourself, if as you go throughout your day, you notice, um, let me say another way. If you observe yourself as you go throughout the day, what you'll notice is before almost every action, there's a thought. And it's generally not conscious, but there's a saying of yes to that thought. And then the action happens. So, from that perspective, you can see why it's so important which thoughts we take in and which thoughts we say yes to and which thoughts we say no to. Because what is life but a series of actions? And if I'm correct, and if these psychologists and sages are correct, then the primary determinant of our actions is the thoughts we say yes to. But that also begs the question, well, what are we? What exactly is it to be a human being? Well, as I've said, we have this capacity to receive thoughts and energy. And many cross tradition, cross culture, cross religion, many wise beings have said that actually what we are is a soul. Most people identify themselves as this, as a body. But actually, my understanding, and again, based on part of this is based on my own self reflection and my own meditation and study of various traditions, is that what I am and what we all are is a soul that's inhabiting a body. And that as a soul, one of our capacities is this capacity to receive energy, to receive thoughts, and actually to choose which thoughts and which energy we say yes and no to, which then brings us back to this idea of life as a school, of learning this fundamental lesson of what energies, what thoughts to say yes and no to, but underneath that, learning to distinguish between what's healthy, harmonious, good, natural, and what is unnatural, harmful, negative. So let's sit with all this, the idea that maybe actually I'm not a body. Maybe I'm a soul that inhabits a body, that has this amazing capacity to receive energy and thoughts, has this amazing capacity to learn which thoughts and energies are good and helpful. So observing the body, taking this energy in. Noticing what you feel. So, one of the key then lessons here in life is not only learning to connect to the good, but learning to trust the good. We spoke about last time in the previous lesson this idea that whether you call it nature or God or Source or Allah, Brahman, Buddha nature. Throughout history, there have been all these names for this infinite power. And that um, here in life, it's absolutely essential to learn to trust that power. Said another way, that's another one of that's the absolute um, another way of saying the fundamental lesson is not only learning to choose the good, to choose what's harmonious, but to absolutely learn to trust in it. Now, I've experienced this, and I'm sure many other people have. When we're in a place of trust or faith, when things go wrong, we're not so fazed by it. But when we don't have trust or faith and something goes wrong, that's when we as human beings freak out, right? We're running late. We've all had the feeling of being late for an important meeting. If we're in a state of trust and faith, then it's no big deal. We just do our best to get there on time and we're not so disturbed. Like, yes, it's not fun to be late to something important, but we're okay. However, if we're in a state of distrust or fear or lack of faith, then we're agitated the whole time. I've had that experience, agitated the whole time. So, this very simple principle of trust or faith in life, in nature, in God, if you choose to call existence that. It's this fundamental idea that everything is okay and will be okay. Now, that's not to say that there aren't imbalances or not to say that there's not evil, but it is a fundamental attitude of trusting in life, trusting in the good. And this one fundamental attitude changes everything. It allows us to face calamity with serenity and with clarity. Because when we get into fear or distress, we're not able to think and act in clear ways. So please take a little time and reflect on this, the power of faith, not necessarily faith in a specific doctrine, but the sense of faith and trust in life itself, in a higher power. Noticing what you feel, continuing to take this energy in. And the last topic I'd like to look at is, a natural way of life has to do with connecting and being around nature. And that can be very hard for people in this modern, most people don't live in nature, or at least in the Western world. In other parts of the world, it's more prevalent. But I invite people to an experiment. Go for a walk. And instead of looking at all the artificially created human things, to look at everything that's natural, whether it be a tree or a bush or grass or the sky even, and to put your attention on that and to feel, to see how it feels to really connect to nature, much less to go out into a place where you're just completely surrounded by nature. So I really call people to that experiment, to see how it goes, to really feel in to the power of nature. And from that place, you might discover that that which we think of as natural and that which we think of as spiritual aren't so different. So I'd like to thank everyone who joined in to this video. There's going to be a link below for information how to find the first video in this series. And I'd like to thank Claudie for saying hello, and Germana for saying hello as well. And to anyone who's new to this channel or this topic, a very warm welcome. Please don't believe anything I say. Please find out for yourself if what I'm saying is true. Thank you so much for joining in. I wish you a day full of communion and connection with that which is natural and this beautiful life energy that's all around us, and that is a key part of natural living, being in connection and communion with life itself and this natural life energy. Thank you so much for joining in. Take care. Much love.